Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Time for the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books and I let you know what I thought about them. And we always start with the pick of the week, and let's get right to it. Ice Cream Man number 6 is the pick of the week. The last couple issues of this, I haven't really been jiving on that much, but seriously, issue 6 was a return to what I loved about the series to begin with. Crazy, out there, horrific, and truly dark, terrifying one-shot stories wrapped around this weird suburban community and this creepy-ass Ice Cream Man tying it all together. I loved this issue so much. It's a nice tribute to Neapolitan ice cream. W. Maxwell Prince is the writer. He does a fantastic job with the script, penning a very elegant and cool story that's very, very dark and twisted and weird as well. Martin Marazzo and Chris O'Halloran on the artwork. Fantastic coloring, fantastic layout. This is a very experimental issue. That's why it was the pick of the week. It's also very creepy and very effective. I really did enjoy this issue so much. Ice Cream Man number 6. This book has been pretty wild so far, and the last couple issues haven't necessarily been my favorites, but there's something to this series that just has this tone, this atmosphere about it that's just really messed up. But Ice Cream Man number 6 makes it the pick of the week. A great one-shot story. Even if you've never read this title before, you could pick up this issue and just read it, and you get the gist of what this series is. Ice Cream Man number 6, love it so much. Let's jump over to Marvel. Marvel's got a big book out this week, Extermination number 1. So we just got the announcements that Uncanny X-Men's coming back. 10-part weekly series, X-Men Disassembled, Kelly Thompson, Matthew Rosenberg, and Ed Brisson. Well, all the X-Change that's coming in the air, I think it's going to start right here in Extermination number 1 by the aforementioned Ed Brisson. I really like this issue. It's pretty solid. This story promises to kind of clean house a little bit as far as the X-Men goes, right? We've had these time-displaced yesterday's X-Men ever since 2012 when Bendis took over the title. They've just been meandering around the Marvel Universe, kind of getting in the way sometimes. But at this point, it feels like they've been there too long. They need to wrap this story up. Ed Brisson kicks off the first chapter in that attempt with just excellency. Like, seriously, I love this. This is Event Comics issue, at least first issues of them. This is what I'm looking for. It's big, it's epic, it's bold, it makes some big moves. Really interesting stuff. I really like it. Ed Brisson does a great job with the script. Pepe Larraz does a fantastic job on the arts. Very dynamic, very energetic, very kinetic. Really great stuff. I really do like it. They straight up say extermination, and they just get right to business. The big villain is Ahab from the future, but there's also another twist. Everything around. This book had me guessing. It had me on the edge of my seat, and it was a very fun comic book. I really liked it. Great artwork, a really cool story, and a very promising start to this cleaning house of the X-Men thing that they're doing right now to make way for what's coming. But I really did like this, so I thought that was really good. Edge of SpiderGeddon starts, just like Spider-Verse before it. It's going to start with these little one-shots telling you a little bit more about all the various Spider-Men and women out in the multiverse. This is SpiderPunk. We love SpiderPunk here at Pop Culture Philosophers. This issue was actually really fun. It was really cool. A nice little one-shot story that ultimately just introduces the character. If you just wanted to know more about SpiderPunk because it's just an interesting character, I definitely recommend that you check this out. Jed MacKay doing the script, and Gerardo Sandoval doing the artwork. The artwork really fits the script. It really works. It's a really goofy, fun story that totally fits the character like SpiderPunk. But I really did enjoy this. It's a nice little one-shot. Going to lead into this big SpiderGeddon series, and whether or not that's good or not, this one-shot really is. Infinity Wars number 2 is out this week. This book's been crazy so far lately, right? Gary Duggan's basically finishing off his Cosmic Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy type stuff in this big Infinity War story, and I'm still not going to spoil anything, but definitely by the end of the day, everybody's going to know who Requiem is, and we can talk about it a little bit more freely. But this book's been wild, and it's been fun. I think the script's been cool. The things that happen in it don't feel like they really have a lot of weight, meaning that it doesn't feel like it's all permanent, like it's very temporary, some of the changes that are happening in this book, but it still makes for a very exciting ride. Just like Extermination before, this was a very fun Marvel event type comic book that played with all the different toys in the box. Great moments with the characters, really beautiful artwork from Mike Deodato. I've been saying this for the last year or two. This dude's pumping out the best work of his career, and we're watching it happen. Seriously great stuff. Really cool little moments, great layouts, really cool dark atmospheric, fun cosmic event Marvel thing. And I'm liking it. And do they quote unquote do another one of those things in this issue? Yeah. Yeah, you betcha. Tony Stark Iron Man is here. Issue number 3 out this week. The 3rd issue from Dan Slott and artist Valerio Schiti. And I like it. I'm really liking what Dan Slott's doing right now. Feels like an old school Marvel comic book. Kind of a one and done story with an overarching a plot that's being addressed each issue totally. The one thing I don't like about this is the characterization of Machine Man, you know, X-51. Aaron Stack, if you will. I don't really quite get or like the characterization of that character by Dan Slott in this Iron Man work. I do kind of not like that. Aside from that, it is a fun story with really cool artwork, cool concept. I think the character of Tony Stark is in safe hands when it comes to Dan Slott and Valerio Schiti. Absolutely loving what's going on in Iron Man right now, except for Machine Man's characterization. To me, that's a little wonky and off, but it didn't make me not like the book. I just went with it, right? That's what you got to do. Thor number 4 is here. Wraps up this first story arc of this new relaunched Thor, and I really, really like it. Del Mundo's artwork is like graffiti-like. It's different, and I really do like it. At times, it can seem a little confusing, a little too much going on at times, but if you really just let it sink in, I think it flows pretty decently. The script's pretty fun. It's fun. It's a big epic Thor thing. The War of the Realms heats up. War in Hell going on right now. You got appearances by Thanos. You got appearances by Hela. You got lots of different things going on here. And a nice little wrap up and set up for what's to come. That's what's been going on in Jason Aaron's Thor right now. This War of the Realms thing has been going on since it was Odinson to Jane and now back to Odinson. All the different hammers, they're pretty cool too. Not quite the Thor fresh start that we were really expecting or anticipating, but we also knew that this War of the Realms thing was going to go straight in. But also some things are getting set up in just such a way to provide a fresh start for whoever will take over Thor after Jason Aaron. But we still have a lot of War of the Realms to go. Doctor Strange is out with number 4 this week from Mark Waid. And Jesus says, I'm loving the artwork in this book. It's one of the highlights at Marvel right now artistically is Doctor Strange. This book is beautiful. The colors provide such a richness and depth to the image. It's great. Fantastic. Mark Waid's doing a great job with the story. Just like Iron Man, like I was talking about, Waid's doing a great job of crafting an old school type story where it's a singular one-shot issue type story wrapped in an overall story that's going on. Really fun stuff in Doctor Strange. It's basically Doctor Strange in space. This is what kind of sets up what is to come in Infinity War, so it kind of takes place before that, because in there, you know, Strange's got the Time Stone just like he does in the movies. This is the story about him going into space, getting it, but all the crazy misadventures that he has around it. The narrative structure and framing of the story by Mark Waid, I really, really like. But seriously, Jesus Saez's artwork is just phenomenal. Loving it right now. Multiple Man number 3 is out by Matthew Rosenberg, one of the upcoming writers that's going to be doing Uncanny X-Men. Making his stamp on the X-Men universe right now. Multiple Man is one of those titles. Issue 3 is just like the rest. It's fun, it's zany, it's wonky, it's adventurous, great dialogue, a great brisk, crisp pace to it. Andy McDonald, is it? Yes, Andy McDonald on the artwork with Tamara Bonvillain doing the coloring. He's doing great work. She's doing amazing coloring. Loving this book so much. I've never been the hugest Madrox fan at all. And, you know, I got to give shouts out to The Voice. He's a huge fan. But, Multiple Man in this series is something I could really sink my teeth into. I'm really, really liking it. And if Matthew Rosenberg said Multiple Man is going to be important, and this is just a really fun, cool time travel type story, bringing Jamie back from the dead in a way. And I'm just having so much fun with it. Speaking of Matthew Rosenberg on X-Men titles, there's an Astonishing X-Men annual, and this does not include, because Matthew Rosenberg just took over Astonishing X-Men 2 issues ago with issue number 13. Been having a blast on that title right now. But this does not have that Havoc, Dazzler, Beast, Colossus, Warpath team, right? Zombie, Banshee, all that stuff. This is basically a reuniting of the original X-Men, the original surviving X-Men. And yes, the Man Called X, the new version of Charles Xavier, does make an appearance in this issue. And let me just straight up say, I still don't like it. I still don't like this X thing that's going on that Charles Soule did. And I guess Matthew Rosenberg's not really addressing it. I mean, it's addressed. I mean, Xavier's in this book. But it's a nice little exploration on those characters, on their relationships, and it's nice because the point of it basically is Charles telling you, the X-Men, like, you make your own life, stop blaming me for your misfortune. And I do like that because there's too much, like, belly aching sometimes in the X-Men about stuff like that, so that was neat and kind of cool, but overall the story was really fun and nice. one and done story that seems to be the thing today. They're doing a lot of stories that are kind of self-contained. But Astonishing X-Men, the annual's pretty cool. It's not going to follow along right now with the story of what's going on in the ongoing Astonishing title, but it is a nice exploration of these original characters: Hank, Jean, Warren, Bobby. Almost said Beast again. Bobby and Charles, of course. But I really hate this new Charles Xavier, but you know, maybe I'll warm up to it. Star Wars Beckett is out. It's a new one-shot written by Gary Duggan, who's doing Infinity Wars right now. 3 different artists, 3 different chapters, same story. It's kind of set right before the Solo movie. I enjoyed the Solo movie, thought it was really cool. The character Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson, was amazing in that movie. This is kind of like a little bit of backstory for him, not too much. It doesn't really get deep or anything like that. It's just if you are a Star Wars completist, get it. Otherwise, I mean, it's skippable. Let's move over to DC. We got a new Justice League number 6. So far, probably my favorite superhero title of the year. I just keep talking about it. I know you guys know that I love this, but I love this issue. It was great. This book is so crazy. Scott Snyder has been doing the craziest, ultra crazy concepts, but wrapping it up in like cartoon familiarity. Like if you grew up watching things like the Challenge of the Super Friends and just reading comic books and playing with your superpowers action figures, that's what this feels like. It feels like Scott Snyder's doing that on the most epic scale possible, which is actually in the pages of DC Comics. Jorge Jimenez's artworks, enhanced by Alejandro Sanchez's colors, beautiful, kinetic, dynamic, just fast, fluid, in your face. I'm loving this story. 2 unseen forces unlocked, crazy cosmic things going on. Luthor's winning, or is he? I'm loving it. So much crazy in here. This is like the penultimate issue to the end of the first chapter of the totality. Man, this is some crazy stuff. I'm loving it. It happens fast. I've said this before. I'll say it again. This is the book that grabs you by the throat and just takes you into cosmic DC crazy. No holds barred. No looking back. Doesn't care. Don't worry about catching up. Just enjoy the ride, because it will melt your face off. I'm loving it so much. Justice League's like, I'm so hype over that book right now. Batman number 53 is here to finish this, Cold Days story. It's a nice little story about Bruce Wayne serving jury duty on a case which involves him trying to prove Mr. Freeze's innocence after Batman has already proved his guilt. Interesting little concept, but this issue is kind of the wrap-up of the whole thing, and it's basically a speech by Bruce Wayne with images, and it is beautiful and it's amazing. Lee Week's artwork is just fantastic and phenomenal, absolutely beautiful, especially with Elizabeth Brettweiser on the coloring, Clayton Cowles lettering, perfect. Tom King's script, perfect. The dialogue hits, the narration hits, bam, 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 perfectly paced, nice flow to it. And even though it's basically just Bruce talking the whole issue, it flows so well, and it feels so entertaining, and it's so rich and so deep, and I just love it. I love it. And spoilers, the costume change happens in that issue if you care about things like that and you're looking for books to catch on to. Aquaman number 39 is here, continuing from last week's Suicide Squad. They're doing this Sink Atlantis story with the Suicide Squad. They're sent into Atlantis, now newly crowned Queen Mira, and is now freshly risen to the surface, and the Suicide Squad's there to kind of like take it out and sink it back again. Things like that. So it's kind of silly, not really the best Aquaman story. Dan Abnett's doing an alright job. It's not been my favorite. This issue, not really one of my favorites. Kind of feels a little wonky, a little uneven. It's got Rob Williams helping out, the writer over at Suicide Squad, but I don't know. I'm very excited about the news, though, about the Aquaman story that's coming up in Justice League that they were talking about this week. That's really, really exciting. Pearl number 1 is out this week. It's a brand new creator-owned book from Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos. You may know them as the creators of Jessica Jones over at the Alias comic back over at Marvel Comics back in the day. Pearl number 1 is an interesting comic book. I thought it was really good. Gaydos' artwork is fantastic. I really like the artwork. I like the pacing. I like the dialogue. The story gets a little unclear at parts. I had to go back and look at it closely again to kind of get more of a gist of what's going on. But it is a decent setup to a story. It's a typical Bendis type story. It involves this woman named Pearl. Her skin is white as snow, and she's got this crazy tattoo, and that this dude recognizes, and then there's a drive-by, and then so it's wrapped up in organized crime. Of course it is, right? That's what Brian Michael Bendis does. But I really liked the artwork in this one. Thought it was really good. I did like the story. I did like the script. But nothing has really completely latched on and hooked me in yet. But with Bendis, I usually have to give him 6 to 7 issues to finish his first story, right? Wildstorm is out this week with issue number 16. Anytime we have a new Wildstorm, it's the makings of a great brand new comic book day. Wildstorm is one of my favorite books and has been for the last 2 years since it's been out. Basically what's happened is that ever since DC has gotten a hold of the Wildstorm universe. It is just not known what to do with it. And then one day they were just like, some brilliant person in a room said, why don't you just give it all to Warren Ellis? So that's what they did. They gave Warren Ellis Wildstorm. They said, rebuild this from the ground up however you want to. And he's doing a great job. Grounded, sci-fi, great, sleek action, fantastic, brutal stuff with high cutting-edge ideas, nutso type stuff. We basically got a lot of Team 7 things going on right now. So if you're an old school Wildstorm fan, you'll see the little Easter eggs, and that will make you laugh and make you a little, all that stuff. If you're an Authority fan, you're really going to like some more of the developments as far as that goes in this issue. But ultimately, yet again, a great, perfectly written comic book by Warren Ellis and a perfectly illustrated comic book by John Davis Hunt. Great artwork, great action, great dialogue, great ideas. Wildstorm, it's just fantastic, is it not? Injustice meets versus the Masters of the Universe, issue number 2. I read issue number 1. It was silly enough. I thought it was enjoyable. Issue 2, it's all right. It kind of lost me. I was like, it's too silly for me. Like, I really like the artwork by, is it Freddie Williams, right? Yeah, I do like the artwork. I like the idea of the characters meeting each other, but it's the wrong versions of the characters. I don't know. It's just not exciting to me anymore. That's what I thought about it. Archie meets Batman 66. Issue number 2 is here. It's silly, it's goofy, it's fun. It's exactly what you expect. It's as absurd as Batman 66 is, and as refreshingly just dumb and ridiculous as Archie can be. And I mean that in the most positive way. So Archie meets Batman 66. This is not the book for you if you're like looking for something super, super deep, but you're an Archie fan, you're a Batman 66 fan, this is a treat. And I'm a sucker for these Archie crossovers. I really, really am. A new one from Image Comics this week I really want to talk about, Crowded #1. This is going to be your sleeper hit of the week. This was a really, really good book. Seriously good stuff. Written by Christopher Zabella. Pencils by Rose Stein, inks by Ted Brandt, and colors by Triona Farrell. And letters by Cardinal Ray. And edits by Juliet Capra. And a logo by Dylan Todd. Fantastic book. I really, really liked it. Basically, it's set in the near future, and everything's app-driven now, right? And so now even you can like crowdfund assassins. And that's basically what happens is some random person all of a sudden gets this incredibly high, it's called Reaper, right? The app. This incredibly high, like, crowdfunded assassination thing going on. So if you kill her, then all of a sudden you get the money, and it's all crowdfunded, right? It's so weird, so fun. But it's a nice little satire about current society. It's a nice, fun action comic book with a nice brisk pace and kinetic artwork that just flows and works so, so well. Really like this one. It really stood out. I wasn't expecting much from it, but a brilliant idea, great characters, great dialogue, great artwork, all on top of that. A really nice package. Crowded #1. Definitely want to check that one out. And if we're talking about Image Comics, we got to talk about Gideon Falls. This has been my absolute favorite comic book of the year. And issue 6 wraps up the first part of, wraps up the first part. Wraps up book 1. And this book has been a slow, atmospheric, moody type build type thing. Like this mystery that's been slowly unveiling, right? And then you get to issue 6, and it just blows everything, including all your expectations, out the water. This book is genius and at the same time utterly confusing. It was amazing. I really, really liked it. It's a very confusing book. I don't really understand a lot of it yet. But as I think about it, I'm starting to piece things back together, and the artwork is just incredibly awesome by Andrea Sorrentino. Very, very experimental, as well as the script, which Jeff Lemire, the writer, does that kind of stuff a lot. But this was wonky. I cannot wait now to sit down and read 1 through 6 all together. I'm definitely going to be doing a video about that sometime in the future, in the next few weeks or so, when I get time to get to Gideon Falls again. But I cannot wait to do it because this book has been amazing. It's been my favorite book of the year so far. And issue 6, like, I thought, like, this is the type of book this is going to be. I get it. I can dig it. I love it. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, it's going this way, homie. And it just was awesome. Really unexpected turn in Gideon Falls that is very, very confusing, but very exhilarating and touching at the same time, if that makes sense. Skyward #5 is here. Speaking of end of arcs, this is the end of the first arc of Skyward. This book just came out of nowhere. Just blew me away, continues to blow me away. A great wrap up to the first story arc, great characters. It's a world where gravity stopped working. And as weird and wonky and as dumb as that may sound to be for an idea for a story, it is awesome, and all the ideas that come out of it are so rich and so different and so unique and just awesome. I really, really like this book. Skyward is a fantastic work of comic book art right now. If you're not reading it, you really, really need to. The first trade will be out soon. I know some of these issues have kind of dwindled out there in the wild a little bit because I think a TV show or a movie was optioned from it. but a really great story with some nice human drama, some nice emotional moments in that issue as well. Terminator has a new comic book out, Sector War. I'm reading it because I looked and it was Brian Hood. And I hear that Brian Hood's been doing a good job on that RoboCop book, and I haven't been reading that. So I said I didn't want to miss this Terminator book if it actually is good, and it's pretty decent. It's not bad. It's basically set in '84 during the first Terminator movie, but it's about a different Terminator unit who goes after a different woman to stop her from having a baby. Same plot, different person, whatever. It's basically just an excuse to write a Terminator story. Terminator story was written pretty well, but it didn't really grab you in. There's nothing unique about it, nothing significant to really draw you back, even for a Terminator fan like myself. But I'm not the most hardcore Terminator fan. So if you're the most hardcore Terminator fan, you might want to check that out. Volition, #1, is a new one from Aftershock Comics and Ryan Parrott and Omar Francia. This book was really cool as well. Amazing artwork. The only problem with the artwork is it's very, obviously computer modeled at times. And that's fine to me. I do not mind that. But there's a lot going on in some of the panels. It gets a little unclear because of the coloring being so dark in times. The artwork was a little unclear for me in certain action scenes. Aside from that, I really did like it. It's your typical AI robots in the human world type story, but it goes a little bit different than most of them do, and I really, really like that. Parrott script is really cool, very refreshing. I really like his take on this type of story. It brings it its own unique and different voice. The politics involved, and robots fighting for freedom, and what happens after they're granted their freedom, and what happens then, and are they disenfranchised, and do they get sick, and things like that. So I really like that whole setup on the society and how it exists after basically it's a society after artificial intelligence, robots and things have been granted freedom, and what happens after that. But really do like this. The artwork is really cool and neat and really truly unique and different, but it does get a little muddied in those parts like I was talking about. But ultimately, this is definitely something, yet another title from Aftershock Comics, definitely worth your time and effort to pick up. Aftershock, we're talking about Baby Teeth. #12 is here. I'm loving this book, man. This was, I thought, the weakest Donny Cates book I had ever read when I first started reading it, and now I'm loving it. It's just filled with emotion, filled with epic apocalyptic drama. It's a story about the baby Antichrist and the love that the mother would obviously have for her child. And it's so fun, and I really, really like it. I gotta highlight Gary Brown again. Gary Brown is the artist, and it's growing on me more and more and more, but Mark Engelert, the coloring on this book is phenomenal, phenomenal. Taylor Esposito does an amazing job yet again. If you see his name on a book, him or Cal's, it's going to have some really cool lettering and great design work. But I definitely want to talk about the coloring on this book because the coloring is rich, textured, elegant, and really goes a long way to provide tone and drama to the story. Fantastic work. Vagrant Queen #3 is here. We always got to rejoice when we get a new release from Vault Comics. They're doing amazing work over there right now. Vagrant Queen is no exception. It's basically about a rebel queen. They took her crown. She told them to shove it. Really fun, snarky sci-fi type stuff. I'm loving this book. This is a nice explanatory type issue that really explains the backstory on a couple of these characters, how they met, things like that. But it really kicks the story into the next chapter, kicks it up a notch. Really fun stuff from Magdalene Visaggio and Jason Smith and Carrie Saxon and Zach Son. Fantastic job from the Vault Comics crew and the Vagrant Queen crew. Loving that book. And let's talk about this one, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #30, the penultimate issue of Shattered Grid. We got one more after this. I do feel like this whole Evil Green Ranger thing has gone on a little too long, but I'm still having fun with it. The Power Rangers crossover that we were always promised and never got. Ultimately, by the time that we've gotten out to this point, I'm a little bummed out that the story didn't really get into some of the other Rangers as much as I would have liked them to, but I don't know. When you really look at it, there's just this whole Shattered Grid thing is kind of handled in just a handful of issues, but a lot of appearances by Rangers, the story heats up, they go to Rita for help now, blah, 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 all that stuff setting up for the final battle. So that's kind of neat. And there's a really cool moment with Kimberly and Jason in here. That was a long time coming. So that's what I read this week, and that's what I thought about it. Great stuff from Skyward, Gideon Falls, Crowded from Image Comics. Those are some really, really good picks. Batman is just super strong right now. So is Justice League. Extermination was really, really cool. Give Iron Man and Doctor Strange another shot if you haven't. And Ice Cream Man. If you feel like the last couple issues haven't been the greatest, definitely read this one. See what you think. I love this one. Probably one of my favorite issues of the series yet. Definitely the pick of the week. Cool experimental type story, a different approach to the story. Really dark, creepy, weird, and out there. I loved it. And if you've never read Ice Cream Man, you can pick up that issue and read it all on its own, and you'll know everything about the title that you really need to know. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. Let me know in the comments down below, what did you read, what did you like? Thank you guys so much for your support on this channel. We really do appreciate it. So please do like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And join us at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us, and keep on reading.